Hi everybody, how's it going? It's Avril here and we're just doing Just Ask Me. You guys have sent all of your insurance and mortgage questions in, and I'm here with Paul from DF Services, a financial services company who is going to answer them for you. But before we begin, I am going to ask Paul to just explain a bit about how he got here to owning his own business and the route that he took to get here. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Avril. How are you?
You're very welcome.
Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, a quick introduction. So Paul is my own name. The company is Digital Financial Services. We're based here in Portarlington, County Laois. And yeah, look, really we help individuals and families with any of their financial services inquiries, and they can be different for everyone, and they range from, whatever is on someone's mind. But initial inquiries for people could be centered around their mortgages, inquiries about insurances or pensions or retirement planning.
Yeah.
Look, how we got here, I think I'm here by accident, or I feel like not only doing this video or in business, but in life, I feel at the moment I'm here by accident. And,
okay. What do you mean by that?
Look, I think my background was I had worked in the financial services for years, and I never had any intentions of going into business or setting up a business. And I think it was more circumstances in my own life which has brought me to where I am now.
Yeah.
And them circumstances are, much like yourself, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2019, similar to yourself. I think with that then, I spent a couple of years in the shadows, just recovering and existing. And life became about cancer and recovery. And when the time came to even consider going back to work, look, the world itself had changed so much. Yeah. COVID had happened. So how people worked was different.
And you had probably changed a lot as well.
And that was a big thing. Like, I had changed. The thoughts of going back to a corporate world and getting up and leaving the house and being gone which was normal for everyone. We never questioned it. But then when the time came, one, I didn't think I was able to, because I was still on a lot of treatment. And even though I was ready to go back to work, I probably wasn't well. So the idea of working for myself was more out of a necessity than a desire to become a business owner. The fact that I could work when I was well, the industry had allowed for being able to work remotely with video calls, which everyone had done.
Much more flexible.
Yeah. So that's kind of my route into business, was more out of necessity for life and not wanting to go back into this corporate and just to spend more time at home, and an acknowledgement that I wasn't well, and if I needed to be off, I wasn't affecting anyone or bothering anyone, and I would just work when I could, and then I'd go. And I was always very month to month and day to day, because I think that's one thing that a cancer diagnosis does. It forces you to live in the moment, and there's a beauty in that as well.
Yeah.
Look, I suppose there's a sadness and a fear of not being able to plan ahead, and I think that's translated into business, and that's why I feel like I'm here by accident, because I set up for the necessity of being able to work from home, and thankfully years have passed by and I'm still well, and I'm still here, and I have staff working for me now.
Amazing.
We now have a premises, and it's all come full circle. So it was never my goal or plan to be here, but I've liked what I've done. I love what I do, and to be able to help people, and that's kind of the full circle moments.
It's amazing, really, isn't it, when you consider that it wasn't something that you'd ever really thought about, but between your cancer diagnosis and then COVID, it's brought you here, and they're gorgeous offices with the staff as well. Well done to you. So we might get into the questions, because there's a good few, and we don't want to be here for hours doing these questions. So there's loads about insurance and mortgage, and a couple about travel. So we might do the mortgage ones and the insurance ones first, and then maybe look at the travel ones at the end, if that's okay. So the first question we got in was, any hope for someone with stage 4 getting insurance or mortgage products?
Yeah, like that's one thing with any health diagnosis. Not only does it change your life in general, but certainly when you re-enter the world into the mortgage and insurance space, it's now more difficult and more complex than before. And on the insurance piece, like one thing that will prevent people getting insurances anyway is if you have ongoing treatment or outstanding tests or investigations it related to anywhere. So it depends on your journey in your health cycle. And I suppose if you're active in treatment, and not just specific to cancer, but that's one thing that you're going to find difficult from an insurance perspective.
So does it mean there will be no hope, or it just makes it a bit trickier? And
from an insurance perspective, you're unlikely to be considered for any insurance. Now, that doesn't mean you won't be able to get any insurance forever.
Okay.
But while you're active in treatment, your ability to get insurance is,
Okay. And will a survivor get mortgage protection, or is that the same kind of thing?
There was a big change in this recently, and it was a really positive one, because you'd see yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you're just left in the shadows or on the sideline after a cancer diagnosis, and you're just
it's hanging over you forever.
And it affects you in so many things, and this is one example. But a couple of years back, there was some changes around how insurance companies assess cancer survivors, and there was a positive breakthrough, and it's specific to mortgage and mortgage protection. It's called the right to be forgotten.
Oh, I was reading about that. Yeah.
So the loose rules around it are, it's specific to people taking mortgage protection insurance, which is life insurance. So if you die, the policy pays out and it clears what's left on your loan. So it's only available to people taking that type of insurance rather than just general life insurance.
Right, okay.
And the criteria around it is if you're 7 years post-treatment and in remission.
Okay.
That's kind of the criteria for it. When they say the right to be forgotten, what they mean by that is when you submit an application, like everyone, you fill in a lot of health information, but the cancer diagnosis is forgotten. It's not considered on it. Yeah, so that's
in play at the moment, is it? All right, very good.
Now, like everything, there's rules and regulations around it. And when they say, like I think in my own example, I'm 5 years since I had a transplant, but I've been actively taking chemotherapy since then.
Okay.
So the clock hasn't started for me in that sense at all.
So the clock would only start when treatment stops. And would that be like for women who are on, like hormone tablets and stuff like that as well, as part of their treatment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, what I'd say to anyone on any type of treatment, don't rule yourself in and out automatically, no matter what part of your recovery you're at. Consult someone and ask someone to do their due diligence and find out for you, because it is an ever-evolving situation, and what is considered and what isn't considered is ever-evolving.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a case-to-case basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And look, I think the hope would be the fact that there was a breakthrough in the right to be forgotten for insurance purposes. Because look, the way we're treated in the medical world is so different than it was 5 years ago and the way it was 10 years ago. And the hope would be that insurances and everything else will catch up with that. And for those who are maybe had cancer years ago, that doesn't impact their ability to have insurance.
So it is progressing in the right direction as such. Okay, brilliant. So will a lender waive protection if I can't get cover?
Yeah, the answer to that one is yes. There is an option to have your mortgage protection requirement waived.
Okay.
There's some criteria on it. If you're over the age of 50, if the insurer asks you to pay an increased premium, or if you're unable to get it and you're declined by 2 different providers. Yeah, they're the criteria. Now, it's lender specific, and it can have roll-on effects and stuff, but the short answer is yes.
Okay.
And what I'd say to anyone who is in a mortgage, if you have had any health ailments or you've had cancer or anything before, broach that early with your advisor who's helping you, so they can kind of get ahead of it. And the sooner you have that information, the more prepared you can be and the more angles you can kind of.
So it's really about linking in with somebody and getting the proper information, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like with any of these products. So will it reduce the amount somebody can borrow if they've had cancer?
Not always.
Okay.
Like, your lender really wouldn't have oversight of your health. Anyway, there shouldn't be anything there that would point to where you would see it would be on the waiver of the life cover, and that's where it could
so it's linked into that.
It wouldn't automatically mean that what you can get is less, but there could be times, depending on the lender, depends on the there's different circumstances, and that's where you kind of come back to saying the earlier you can broach this and kind of prepare for it, the more you can guide towards the effect it would have on your mortgage, if any at all.
God, it's a massive area, isn't it? It's a lot.
Yeah.
And no wonder we got so many questions.
I think that's the stuff when you wake up and go, geez, I'd love to get a house.
Yeah.
I don't think we automatically default to going, geez, I wonder what my health is like.
Yeah.
I wonder, do I have an outstanding investigation for any part of my health? So it's not the stuff that you default to quickly, but it's the stuff that happens later on in the mortgage journey where time becomes more precious, and that's where it's during them initial conversations to go to as much as you can.
The next question I actually got asked a few times. It's, I have life cover from work. Can a lender take this into consideration?
Yeah, it'd be great if it could, but unfortunately the answer is no.
Okay.
And there's a couple of reasons really. The first is the life insurance benefits that are set up through work are owned by the company who set them up.
Okay.
And the person who's insured is like the beneficiary of it. So company X owns it, but so you can't assign something that's not owned by yourself.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the other thing is the benefit of that, you're covered for the duration that you work for that company, but there's no certainty that company will be in existence for the length
Forever.
of your mortgage
Yeah.
and stuff.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yeah. There is something to know on that, and it's really important, and it's overlooked all of the time. If you have that benefit through work, they often call it debt in service, and it's usually 4 times what you earn. That would be kind of a typical way it's set up. But if your role has ever been made redundant and you're leaving that company, there's an option, it's a continuation option, where when you're leaving the company, you can actually take ownership of that debt and service.
Okay.
And you can have it yourself. And one of the benefits of doing that is when you take the continuation option, there's no medical questions being asked. So it's actually something I done after my cancer diagnosis, is where I would have had no option to ever take insurance, but by using this continuation option, I was able to take a life insurance policy that otherwise wasn't available to me.
And I know one of the people who sent this in actually has just been made redundant.
There is a timeline on being able to do it.
So I must get onto her actually and say this afterwards. Yeah.
And that's where the asterisk would become on this, because if they do leave and the amount of insurance matches their mortgage and the term matches, there is a possibility where they could use it, but you can see that's very circumstantial. But just if someone was sick and they worked in the company and the role was ever, that's a really valuable way of them taking the insurance they had through work and making it their own, and then it's owned by them and they have that.
Wow, okay. That's interesting actually, yeah. So the impact of going interest only on a mortgage, and how long can you stay on this?
Yeah, look, that piece takes advice, and it rolls into the consequences of being sick. Everything in our world changes and we have to adapt and evolve. And people have to do what's right for them. It'll be different for everyone, and I'd say, consult your advisor if it is there. The overall impact of going interest only is you're not paying off your mortgage for that period.
Yeah.
But bigger picture, sometimes we have bigger things to be worried about. And if you're under financial strain, if you're, putting all of your effort on paying off your mortgage when you're literally trying to survive, sometimes people have to avail it.
So it might be the way to go at that time.
Yeah. So the consequence, if you were looking specifically to your mortgage, means you'd be paying it for longer. But big picture, is that really the biggest point?
Yeah, like if you're going to be 4 or 5 years in treatment or whatever, it might be the option to
100%.
do.
There's loads of support services when it comes to making any changes, and it's a really supported area. But as soon as someone is in a position where they might need to make a change like that, just speak to an advisor and speak to these support staffs and find the best thing for you. And don't overthink it. Like, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, that's really what I'm hearing from it, is like, just do it, make a phone call, talk to somebody and just kind of get the information, rather than it kind of sitting in your head, because there's enough in your head already without worrying about all this stuff as well.
Yeah, but look, I do recognize that that's easier said than done.
I know, of course it is, yeah.
And I'd even be of that, and I work in the industry. Sometimes picking up a phone when you don't know something about something is daunting to do, because you feel quite vulnerable and you go, where do I start and stuff. So like, what you're doing is great, and to bring this information to people.
Well, I mean, as I said, it came about because I was getting asked and I have no idea. So I said, I'll ask the expert.
Oh God, yeah. but money does, like, it's not the part you'd ever default to thinking. Like, when you go, geez, if I was to diagnose with this, we always go, you think about your health and the impact in your family. But unfortunately, like, money does play.
Oh, it's massive.
Yeah.
It really is. It's such a massive thing when you've been diagnosed. You have to give up work in a lot of cases. And then look at these questions. People who haven't bought a home, looking to buy a home, people looking for insurance. Yeah. It's huge. We've a couple more. We're nearly there though, Paul. How long after getting the all clear do I have to wait to get mortgage protection and also income protection?
Yeah.
It's similar to one of the other questions, really.
The right to be forgotten is 7 years. But look, that's not your only chance of getting insurance. Like, even for people who have had cancer or other, health diagnoses, it doesn't mean your chance of ever getting insurance is gone. And often the time between diagnosis and time of getting insurance is the deciding factor. So people who've had a number of years between diagnosis and treatment will still be able to be considered at certain times for getting insurances. But usually that's what we'd see. The longer between diagnosis and trying to get insurance, the more likely they will have.
Okay.
When it comes to insurance like income protection, the reality of it is your ability to ever get the likes of income protection or specified illness cover is slim.
Yeah. That's it. It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
and you see that all of the time, and it doesn't resonate with people, and for good reason. Like where someone says, take these insurances now, so if your health does change, you can have it, and that doesn't resonate with people because we don't go around thinking we're going to get sick and stuff.
But we both know
Yeah.
what it's like, and a lot of people looking at this will as well. And I certainly, when I was 40, took out insurance, and I was like, ugh, as if I'm ever going to need this. Little did I know, a year later, I'd be needing that insurance.
Yeah.
So it is worth actually looking at these products and taking them out before you're ever sick.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things I've acknowledged is, with all the will in the world, we can look at other people and expect that they're going to get sick, and we can recognize that that's going to have a financial impact.
Yeah.
But I think we have like this invisibility for ourselves to ever, like, even if someone says, oh, imagine you were to ever get diagnosed with cancer, we actually can't do it. So I think when someone goes to look at, what do I need to take insurance policies, to go, all right, sure, I'm okay, or
I'm grand,
I'm not going to be sick, or should my parents live till they were 80? We don't have family. Like we find it difficult. So you're almost taking these insurances on the back of advice from people or who have been sick, but it always is a leap of faith to go, look, all things being equal, you probably are never going to get sick, and you never will need these.
But you never know.
But if you do get sick, like the security and comfort to give you, it was more important than I had thought it would be, and I had even worked in the industry before. So which
is really interesting to hear, considering you were out there selling these products and working with these products, and I certainly know the benefit of it. I mean, we would have been lost without us having that plan in place. It really was. It was worth more than the actual money itself, if that makes sense. Just to have the security of it. There's a few questions come in about travel insurance. Now, I know that's not really your end of things, but you might just say one or two lines just around travel insurance.
Yeah, and look, as I said,
because it is difficult to get still for people.
Yeah, I'd be conscious of not saying the wrong thing because it isn't. But I can only speak from my own experience of trying to get travel insurance since the time I've been sick.
Same.
And I haven't been able to get it.
Same.
And I think that was because I'm still actively on treatment. And from the minimal research I've done on it, it still seems to take your diagnosis and whether they can exclude cover for that or include you in some level of cover. But I think, like all insurances, I think the stage you are in treatment and what your
will determine.
And stuff. But it's not my exact area. So again, don't rule yourself in or out based on hearing.
So check into it.
But like anything, it's probably going to be more difficult than if you had.
I know, like yourself, I know I haven't been able to because of the stage I am. It's just, they won't cover me for anything. So I just have to take the risk and travel. Without it.
So some people will have, we had until the left with one of the bank accounts we were at, travel insurance was covered. Or there might be some perks through other insurances where there's travel insurance covered. So maybe in them instances they're covered. But I think taking a new one, if you're actively in treatment,
it's probably not going to happen.
Okay.
Well, that's the end of the questions. Paul, thanks a million. I'm sure that has given so much information to people. The one thing, again, that I've heard is that if you are unsure or need to check this, you do need to link in with someone like yourself, a financial advisor, who can actually give proper information and look at your own case, an individual case. So if anybody is looking to get products, contact somebody like Paul. I'm going to put Paul's details up because Paul, I think with your history of having cancer, I think you're probably well aware of the nightmare that it is to have cancer, but also then these products in and out, inside and out. So I will put Paul's details up, and really, really glad we did this. And thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy and I really, really appreciate it.
No, look.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
And thanks everybody for listening. And we will do another Just Ask Me in a couple of weeks with somebody else to answer all of your questions. Thanks a million. Bye.
Bye.